and as we passed beyond the portal of the house, myself crossing at the same instant its threshold, and that of time, nor did I once cast a glance towards the frail decaying shell from which a joyous thrill of superconsciousness told me that I was forever escaped. Indeed, I had no disposition to do so, for the reason that new and strange emotions and sensations crowded so fast upon me that my whole attention was absorbed thereby. For they swept, like billows of wind of a troubled lake, across the entire sea of my newborn being. One thought, and one alone connected with earth, assumed importance, and that was associated with the physical phenomenon of dissolution. And it shaped itself in 100 ways with rapidity of lightning. No, not lightning, but quicker, for that was very slow compared to the flashings and the rushings forth of thought. Even in the earth-made brain, how much more rapid, then, from the source around, which is no cerebral impediments to obstruct. Death. This is to be dead, thought I. How blind, how deaf we are, not to see and not to know, and hear that all things tell of life. Life, being real and true, while nothing in the great domain of God speaks one word of absolute death, of blotting out of the soul, which while even cramped in its coarse body sometimes mounts the capitals of existence, and with far-penetrating vision pierces the profoundest depths of spaces, gazes eagle-like upon the very sun of glory, laughs death to scorn, the surveys of the fields of two eternities, one behind and one before it. This thing can never die, nor taste a single drop of death. How strange, how wonderfully strange I felt. Yet these sensations were of excellent health, of exhilarant youth and concentration and power, nor had decrepitude or decay aught therein. I am not faint, but strong, not sad, but joyous. These were my observations on realizing the great change. Many a time have I read and heard of the capacity of human beings having experienced in joys purely nervous. Nearly all present human pleasures are based upon the fineness and susceptibility of the nerves to receive and impart magnetic impressions. My nerves had aforetime been made to tingle with strange, deep bliss when in the presence of those I loved, after their return from a long absence. I had tasted the exquisite nectar from the lips of an innocent prattling babe, and had known the tumultuous thrill of friendship's joys meetings. And yet all these were as blasts of frozen air to what now kept running, leaping, flying, dancing through me. It was the supremely delicious sense of being dead, the voluptuous joy consequent upon dying. At first it seemed to me that keener joy or deeper bliss would be impossible for a man or woman to experience than those that were now mine. After a while, I learned better. Mankind expand from the action of two principles, intellect and intuition, the first being the basis of progression, the latter of development. Some, both in and out of the body, are built up by one, some by the other, and many rise from the combined action of both. Many of the dead pursue the triumphs of intellect and investigation, just as when on earth. These are the progressionists, vast in number, great indeed, but constituting an inferior order, as they must ever be secondary to that of the vaster host and higher order who climb the ladder of intuition. Without egotism, then, but in all humility, I say that great joy was mine on finding myself numbered with the larger army. It was an allusion to the fact that all learning a man may acquire on earth really stands him but a little on the other side. That one of the old declared in the upper kingdom that first should be the last, and the last should be the first. For it so often happens that one almost ignorant in a worldly sense may have the highest and grandest intuitions of truth, divested of the thick coats wherein learning often clothes it. People in whom intellect predominates over intuition naturally gravitate to their true position in the realms beyond. Their destiny is to be for a long time, and of such time can justly be predicated, pilgrims of the spirit world or middle state, whereas all in whom intuition is exalted can not only be occasionally residents, for redemptive purposes, of the outer spiritual world, but are intromitted to the deeper and sublime realities of the soul world. A world is much different from the merely spiritual kingdom, as are the processes of the musician's soul, when at high tide, superior to the mental operations of a midnight burglar. A veil divides those worlds as completely as does a similar one separate earth from the spirit land. Two beings there may meet, one a resident of the soul realm, the other a denizens of the spirit land. The former may be in close propinquity with the latter, and yet the spheres of several existences be as far apart as north from south. The one sees and knows only from appearances, and the other positive rapport.